we don't get into politics on this channel, but you know, all the talks about make America this, make America that. Could we at least one day talk about making groceries affordable again for the average family? Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Ken Johnson. So today, what we're doing is kind of a riff on something that's been happening on social media. I've been seeing all these videos where they make these croquettes with cabbage, and they're always saying, you never have to eat meat again, and I'm a carnivore. I don't believe in that nonsense. So I decided, well, let's make up my own recipe, and nothing goes better with cabbage than corned beef. So we're going to make some cabbage and corned beef croquettes. Stay tuned. This right here is just plain Greek yogurt. We're going to use a half cup going in. Now I've got some dill here I'm going to chop up. This is roughly a teaspoon of fresh dill. This is Hungarian paprika. I highly recommend you get a Hungarian paprika. This brand right here has been around since forever. It is the OG. And if you ever try real Hungarian paprika, you will never go back to the stuff that you get elsewhere. This is a half teaspoon of Hungarian paprika. Except no substitutes. This right here is onion powder. We're going to do a half teaspoon of it. Adding this in. This right here is granulated garlic. Going to add a half teaspoon of that. There we go. This right here is McCormick's peppercorn medley grinder. I'm going to season it to taste. The thing that makes this different from other peppercorn medleys that you see of the white and the black and the pink is that it has allspice and coriander added. So you can use a regular black pepper, that's fine, or you can use a 3-pepper medley, and that's fine, but I would add a little bit, not much, just a little pinch of allspice and also a little bit of ground coriander, because that will change the flavor dramatically. And we're just going to season to taste. I don't know, it probably won't even be a 1/16 of a teaspoon. Doesn't take much. This right here is some Dijon Mustard. We're going to use roughly a half teaspoon of this. This right here is honey. We're going to use a half teaspoon of honey. You always kind of want to over pour honey because a lot of it's not going to get in there. But there we go. You see how thick it is. You can heat your honey if you want to, and it'll pour a little bit better. Or you can just do like I do and just give it a little gob right there. That little bit right there is not going to make a big difference. Alright, this is mixed up well. Now what we'll do is take this and let it sit in the refrigerator, preferably overnight. And then we'll go on and make our next part of our meal. Alright, so here is a cabbage that I got. Actually, my brother-in-law grew this. So what I'm doing is I'm just cutting this in half. Needed a bigger knife, but oh well. We're going to cut this in half. Now what we'll do is we'll just take this and cut the stem out. This right here we're going to save for another dish. This right here we're going to use for our regular dish. So what we're going to do is just kind of cut slits about an inch apart, inch deep. Not that deep, not too far apart, but far enough apart. And this is just to kind of get the water to get into the areas. We're going to boil this for 15 minutes in lightly salted water. So we'll be back after I've done that. Okay guys, so I went to Publix yesterday and got what they call dinner sliced corned beef. So one slice was 0.42 pounds. It's not even a quarter of an inch thick. Cost me almost $8.50. They sell it for roughly $20 a pound. So I'm going to show you what you get for almost $9. Not quite $9. It's a quarter inch thick, roughly. You get one slice. That is it. For just a little bit more, you could buy an entire corned beef brisket, but then you'd have to actually cook it yourself. But if you wanted to use corned beef that's canned, because it's infinitely cheaper compared to this, I would say do that. Use the corned beef in the can. And we don't get into politics on this channel, but you know, all the talks about make America this, make America that. Could we at least one day talk about making groceries affordable again for the average family? That's something that I would love to see. I'm not saying the other stuff that's going on isn't important. I mean, I love having liberty. I think a strong national policy where you're getting rid of terrorists that are trying to destroy our liberty is a good thing. But at the same time, if you're having a hard time making ends meet, or if you're like the average American where the costs outpace any money that you're making, that, you know, let's say you get a raise, like, you know, this year, by next year that raise is ate up by the cost of living multiple times over. So it, you know, or in my profession, we hadn't had a raise in, good grief, 3-4 decades. That's not fun. So what I'm doing is I'm just slicing this, I don't know, not quite, somewhere between a quarter of an inch and a half inch. So I'm just cutting it up into thin little strips. But I would say we need to talk about making food more affordable. If we can increase the buying power of the American dollar to where people can buy groceries more affordably, people can use the money they have to get more, I think that is an economic discussion that we need to have. And that, I think that is a discussion that can go across both sides of the aisle, because we all have to eat. Food is a common denominator in all discussions that work out great. If you can talk with somebody over a meal, if you can talk about food passionately, you can do a lot of good in this world. That's the reason why I like to discuss food, why I have a channel devoted to food, because you can learn about culture just by their food. Now, from here, I'm going to turn this sideways, and I'm just going to start cutting like this into small dices. Alright, and so here we got all our meat chopped up. Decent little cubes, edible little pieces. Tastes wonderful, perfectly cooked. So again, corned beef that's canned would be just as good. You can do that, definitely not be a problem. Now let's get this assembled. Okay, so I've added the meat to a mixing bowl. That's so that we can start dealing with the other items. Alright, this right here is a half cup of instant potatoes. This right here is a half cup of self-rising flour. Now we're going to use some peppercorn medley grinder to taste. I can go a little heavy with it. Going to use some sea salt to taste. Don't need too much because corned beef is salty, and you also season the cabbage with some salt, but you do have the flour and the instant potatoes you have to take into account as well. Alright, so we're going to use a teaspoon of sweet paprika, Hungarian paprika. So that's that. Teaspoon of onion powder. Teaspoon of garlic powder. Now we're going to just kind of stir this together before we add in the next ingredient. Got here 2 extra large eggs. We'll get this all stirred up in here. And it's going to be very dry, but you gotta remember, we got the boiled cabbage, and what I've done is I just cold shocked it. So I put it in an ice water bath, and it's chilling right now. We'll come back and chop that up about the same size as we got the corned beef. And then when we fold in the cabbage, that will make it less dry because you'll have all that water. If we need to add more water, we can always add in a little bit of water, a little bit of milk. But you want it to be fairly firm to make fritters. Alright, so here's you can see the pieces. They're roughly about the size of the corned beef. And it's very, very wet. So you're adding a lot of moisture in, but like I said, if we need to, we can always add in some water or some calf slobber, which is what we call milk around these parts. So we'll get this mixed in and see where we're at. Just start mixing this in. This is just a little bit too wet. Sometimes that happens. I always reserve a little bit of flour. So what we'll do is we'll add in just a little bit of flour to finish this off, but it's looking fairly mixed through now. Just needs a little bit of flour to bind it back up. Start off with about 2 spoonfuls of flour. Just see where it goes. Different days, different brands of flour, you will get different results. So just because something doesn't work out right, especially if you got something like flour, just don't freak out. This right here is, probably should have just done 1, but this will work fine right here. You just kind of want to be a little gummy so that you can make your fritters, and this is perfectly gummy. I may put just a drop or 2 of water in here. I doubt it. I think I'm going to keep it like it is. It's fine. But you want something kind of like this, maybe just a little bit loose, but not too much loose. This is almost perfect. Almost. Good enough. Alright. Let's get oil heated up. Put these in the fryer. And we'll be good to go. Alright, so if you have a scoop, that works. If not, just a regular tablespoon, like eating tablespoon. And just take these and make your croquettes out ahead of time. Makes it a little easier. If you have a sheet tray that'll fit into your freezer, you can put these on the lined sheet tray. Put some parchment paper on there, pop these into the freezer, and just cook them when you're ready. That's ideal. But we're going to just be making these. Won't take long to do that. A ice cream scoop also works extremely well for this. I actually got 16 of the croquettes out of this mix. So I was very impressed with that number. Size varies. You want to make sure that when you put them in the oil, you press them flat so that they'll cook all the way through. You don't want them round. So small, petite, little golf ball size diameter croquettes pressed flat work wonderfully. Alright, so I've got 7 in at a time. I'm using a very cheap wok that I bought from Aldi's. It works great for frying. I've got a wire spider. When I'm done frying these out, I'll remove them, put them onto a sheet tray lined with multiple layers of paper towel. You can also do it on a sheet tray that's got a cooling rack on it, and do that and have paper towels underneath the cooling rack. That will work as well. What I love about the wok is that the oil level will rise up, and as it rises up, your fritters, when they get done, they'll float up, and then you can flip them over. So when they're done on one side, you can just kind of flip them over and you can see where they're browned. It does a beautiful browning. Once they've turned brown on one side, I like to turn them back over, just kind of crisp up top again, and only put it in for like about a minute or two after I've turned them over, and then I'll take them out. And that's just to make sure everything is done through, everything is, fully cooked. Really the only thing that's not cooked is egg, so egg and the flour. And so I'm just trying to remove any raw flour taste, and then, of course the egg cooks really quick. But that looks about done there, so let's go ahead and take them out and put in another one. Alright guys, so here you go. This is the final dish. You can always adjust the seasonings in your sauce to your liking. So if you want a little sweeter, you can add a little bit of sweetness, you can add a little bit of mustard. I just did with a basic recipe, but that's pretty much it. Alright guys, so again, making this up on the fly. I always give my wife the beauty plate, and I try to ask her what she thinks before I say anything, because I'm biased and I don't like being biased, so I like to have another person's point of view. She said that the fritters were very good. She liked them. I asked her, I said, would you take them to a game or a party or event? Absolutely. Okay. I asked her about the sauce. Now she doesn't like sour cream like I do, and she doesn't like Greek yogurt to the same degree that I do. So I like the tart sour flavors that you get from the lactic acid. It was her opinion that the best thing to do for that would be to just enhance what's already in the sauce, so add more. She wanted more flavor out of the sauce. For me, I wanted there to be a base layer of flavor, but essentially for that acid to cut the fat, because you got a fried item. But I don't know yet. I haven't tried it, so let's give it a shot. First, let's try this without the sauce. Good. Good. I don't think it's worth the price of using the good corned beef. You could definitely use canned corned beef and it tastes better. So I do that. So let's try the sauce. So there we are there. I like it a lot better with the sauce. So for me, just regular sour cream would work. It does have a sweetness that adds to it. Adds a few other herbs and tastes and flavors. I think the sauce adds to it, but again, you could just use sour cream and that would be fine. You could use regular Greek yogurt, that would be fine. But it needs something to cut the oiliness of it, so I like that. And also it's got a lot of strong flavors, so that kind of cuts it a little bit. So for me, personally, I say the sauce is the winner, which I'm not a sauce person, so that's kind of weird, but in this case it makes sense. You will notice the house will smell of Chinese takeout, and that's for the reason that you're using basic ingredients that's in Chinese takeout, except for the corned beef, and it doesn't have a lot of smell. But all in all, definitely worth trying. Make this, take it to an event. It doesn't have the flavors that you think it does, so it's kind of neat. Most people will be amazed to know that it's cabbage and corned beef. It really is a flavor all to its own. Give it a try. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys again next time. Bye.